I'm ready to slash and burn.
No quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And I think we've already established earlier this season that I love RIPperoni. And I think that it's just one of the most joyful and delightful robots out there in the field this year. So, of course, I had to do another RIPperoni episode and have Anna back and also have Frederico Amore here to join us, because we have to have both of you here. So welcome to the show.
Awesome, thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So obviously we just had the round of 32 stuff happen, but I want to go back a little ways because obviously, Anna, when I had you on earlier in the season, there wasn't a lot that had happened, so we didn't have that much to talk about. And you've had a couple of fights against some really tough robots that you won, and I really want to talk about those matches because they were very exciting for me. And of course, the first one was the match versus Endgame. Now, recently, Ray Billings has said on my show, "If you live by the fork, you die by the fork." And I don't think that quote is like more perfect for any match than that one. Especially the plastic forks that RIPperoni had on the bot, which was a lovely touch. And I thought that it was great. And I think one of the things for me about that match is that I don't think that RIPperoni got enough credit for what you were able to do. Like, sure, you beat them, but I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, Endgame got stuck in the forks. Sure, that brought the first initial onslaught, but you were able to sustain that even though they were still running for the back half of the match. And I thought that was so impressive. I know it's been a little while, but please talk about, that your kind of thoughts from that match and hindsight.
Sure. So, when we ran against Gruff, we used our fork-ish attachment. It was the closest thing that we had to a fork. And as we all saw, that went super poorly for us. So after that match, we got rid of all of our fork attachments and we started only running the wedge-like attachments. So, that's kind of where the idea of the plastic forks came from, was we knew we weren't gonna have real forks. So, we decided to kind of do that instead as a play. And we didn't know that Endgame was putting on those big forks until we saw their robot. So we were just going to do that anyway.
Didn't we try to go completely forkless and discovered that was just a complete disaster?
We did. Yeah, we tested in the test box with like a nub that RIPperoni would ride on, would be the third point of contact, but it was too close to the weapon. And it just dug into the ground instead of sliding the way that a traditional fork would. So, yeah.
Very fun. Whenever your robot turns and your weapon starts hitting the ground, that's how you know you've made a good robot.
Which RIPperoni does a lot, because the whole idea is that you expose the weapon on one side, but you also expose it to the floor. So, bummer there. But what else they didn't show in the episode is that was actually a really, really stressful day for us. So we discovered that we had faulty drive batteries right around the time of that fight. And we spent the whole day panicking, trying to figure out if there was any way we could tell our batteries apart to see which ones were good, to see which ones were bad. We were asking teams in the pits to see if anyone had batteries that we could use. And Ricky from Mammoth actually bailed us out, and he had something. But of course, that required a little bit of a redesign. So we were soldering new harnesses like minutes before the fight. I think they let us be the last fight of the day. That's how close we were cutting it. So once we were done with all of that, we like slapped the top plates on and just shoved the robot right into the arena. Fred and I had a battery explode in our hands that day. So we were all super shaken and just riding on adrenaline.
Panic and stress goes super well with, doing delicate lithium polymer battery work. You definitely don't make mistakes when you're freaking out.
Yeah, so how we got into the match is already a miracle. I thought that we had used up all of our luck just doing that. But yeah, you know, they drove into the kill slots, they got stuck. There was no question of whether or not we were going to hit them. We wanted to see what our robot could do. You know, the fun of this season was to see how good the science was, to see if these ideas that we were bringing to the table were going to work. And if we left them stuck in the forks, then we wouldn't really be doing that. And you don't get a chance to test a combat robot except by fighting. There's no other way that we could gather that data. So of course we were going to keep going. But that hit that we got on them bent their chassis. And then that's what ended up being what did them in at the end, is they got stuck on their own bent chassis. And yeah, that's how it ended.
Yeah. I mean, it was very good. You know, obviously you were all super excited about that win, as I'm sure anyone would be. So, you know, coming off of that gruff fight, especially, I thought that that was great to see. Now the other fight that I want to talk about is Copperhead, and obviously, like, they have been a very hard-hitting bot this season. And you know, they were in a position to potentially go 4-0, which I'm sure they really wanted to do. And you managed to, you know, get them in the one place that they were vulnerable. And I mean, I just thought that that was like some good driving there. But you know, I just want to hear about that one as well.
Absolutely. That one was all Fred.
We
Targeted
knew
shot.
we had a lot of strategy meetings before most of these fights, except in game. I think our strategy was YOLO, and I think we executed that strategy pretty well. But for Copperhead, we knew we were never going to survive a weapon-to-weapon hit, no matter what happened. We know a lot about the ins and outs of that robot. We're super tight with Luke. I mean, we were with him at Motorama this year before any of this happened. Hell, I was getting a
Still
drink
friends.
with him in Boulder, Colorado, right before I got on an airplane to fly to Las Vegas. Like, it was super tight. But we knew we were not going to win a weapon-to-weapon hit, so we just wanted to avoid that whenever possible. And yeah, we got that hit before we really thought we were going to get a chance to. So I was surprised. He was surprised. He was surprised. And then yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think the first hit we took out a drive chain. And then he lost one of his drive sides, and I don't think that he noticed, and he just pivoted and showed the back of his robot, and Fred was on top of it.
Yes. I mean, people can give you that, you know, that space to do something, but you have to have the wherewithal to like do the driving and actually get the hit. So, you know, I was happy to see RIPperoni go 3-1, obviously. I mean, despite, you know, the fact that you had that one loss, like, you had to be really happy with that kind of season, you know, and going into the round of 32 and everything. I think that there was, you know, a lot of things accomplished, and you were able to show that this design is, you know, can be effective.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the gruff fight is still one of my favorites, just for that beautiful pirouette. You know, that's just directly into the highlights reel. And after that fight was over, we thought, well, okay, even if we don't win a single fight this season, like, that was so cool, and we really came out there swinging and bouncing, and everybody enjoyed watching the robot. But then when all of the technology started coming together, and we had batteries that didn't explode, and the flywheel had full power, then it was really like, wow, I didn't realize the robot could do that, and we're so proud of it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, you know, obviously the next thing that I want to talk about is that Black Dragon fight. And it definitely, as a fan, it broke my heart, because I hate to see a robot just doing so well and getting hit after hit. And you're like, I can't imagine a scenario where this robot doesn't win this match. And then something happens. And, you know, it's also funny because they mentioned, you know, in the post-fight interview, they were talking about Black Dragon being on fire. And as I was watching it, I'm watching and they caught fire. And like, for 1 second, I was like, oh, well, this is bad for them. But then I was like, but this is a dragon. And I'm like, maybe this works to their advantage. I don't know. And you know, they ended up winning, and that was obviously very unfortunate because I think that if you hadn't ended up on the shelf, I think it ends up going to a judge's decision, and I think you solidly win that judge's decision. But let's kind of talk about what happened.
Yeah, we were 3 seconds away from it being a judge's decision, which super bummer. But the stuff that happened, it was all like internal problems, stuff that we didn't exactly foresee. Like one of our speed controllers decided to reboot, or it got stuck in some kind of weird firmware loop, so that's how we lost one side. On the other side, a connector got unplugged from the receiver. Even though we had hot glued it in, the whole hot glue pulled out. So just there was enough jostling that weird stuff happened inside, and it died. And that's just how the game goes. Sometimes that happens. We're super happy that Black Dragon moved on. They're also fantastic competitors. Everyone in the top 32 deserves to be there. So, our loss is their win, and that's just how it goes.
I mean, we're not rookies to this whole BattleBots heavyweight fighting thing, but RIPperoni is very much a rookie robot, and we still found ourselves in a lot of rookie mistakes that we probably should have known better about. Like, I designed a jack shaft that should have been 15 millimeters, but was only 12, and that kept breaking and exploding. And it's just a lot of stuff that you learn whenever you have a new robot, just because there's so much uncertainty going into it. And a lot of stuff that's really easy for us to fix next season. So we're excited that we learned all the rookie traps on this one specific robot, and nobody's really built another one like this before. So we've got a lot more data going in to make something a lot more reliable next season.
Yeah, and also RIPperoni is really designed to the limits on all of the systems. Because we're so tight on weight with that big weapon and a whole flywheel, which is the same weight as other robots' weapons, everything was designed to its absolute limit. And in some places we got away with it, and in some places we didn't. So now we know.
Yes, it is a learning process for sure. How does it make you feel though, knowing that I think universally when you're looking at just different people, like the fans, how much the fans really embraced RIPperoni and kind of got on that pizza train. And then I know I've personally interviewed Greg Munson, Pete Abramson, and they just are in love with RIPperoni and are like, please bring it back like every year. How does that make you feel that so many people just really love this bot and what you've brought to the table with it?
I mean, it
Again,
feels
like,
amazing. All credit goes to Tony D'Ambrosio, who designed all of our merch, all of our vinyl stickers. I mean, I just told him, like, hey, can you make it a pizza? And he came up with all of this and got it all made and on the robot. And, our team really embraced it as well. I think once we saw his ideas, everybody else on the team said, oh, well, I want to do this pizza thing, and I have this walkout, and we're going to get some dough. And it just snowballed from there. But the number one rule of our team is to have fun, and having such a silly theme really helps us do that.
that's
Fred,
our biggest objective, was to have fun, and I think we did a great job of just demonstrating that. And when you show up with that as your objective, I think the fans can really see that, and they join in on it. And then it like met such a resounding success with the fans was our real success here.
Yes. And of course, with the theme, I mean, I think that this whole like pizza, chef type of thing. I mean, like, really, Fred, the whole season, you have been one of the most entertaining people on the entire show. And I think a lot of fans would agree with that. Was it easy for you to like embrace this kind of like wacky character all while driving this robot?
Uh, it's fun sometimes, especially if you get put in big public speaking situations where if you're nervous about something and you're nervous that you yourself won't really stand up to those circumstances, just go into a character and pretend to be somebody else. And in this case, being tame Italian chef and racing driver Frederico Amore, man who had to be bribed with 100 pounds of mozzarella just to leave his home country to come and fight robots for the great fight of demonstrating the superiority of Neapolitan pizza to the degenerate Western world. That was a true mission and a true cause.
I don't think that everybody has heard that full story. So now anybody that's watching can enjoy knowing the full backstory.
And it
Yes.
was just fun to see how much of a cheap chef costume I could get off of Amazon the week before.
Amazon is the place for all of those things.
So
That's where I got my pizza onesie. So
That's right.
I
I
will
got
s-
a pizza pocket that it's like a little Ziploc bag on a string, and teammate Aaron wore it with a pizza in it, and ate pizza behind us while Fred and I were doing interviews. Absolutely chef's kiss comedy, like perfect.
this is what BattleBots needs more of. So I'm just gonna say it right now. Like we need more of this. I would tune it. Well, I already tune in every week, but you know, I'm sure a lot of people would do that more often. But yeah, I mean it, like I think that it, you know, and we talked about this before, Anna, like there's so many directions that you can go with this. You know, I had mentioned to your teammate Aaron in a chat, I was like, let's get a mini bot going and call it Calzone. Like there's so many things that you
we
can
have
do.
some mini bot ideas. We're keeping them on the down low right now, you know. We don't want to spoil the jokes just yet, but they're in the oven.
Are they in the oven or are they in the fridge? We don't want them to spoil. We better keep them cool
You're right. They're frozen and they will be reheated
when
when
ready.
we compete. Yeah.
Classic Italian tradition right there. Freezing food and saving it for when it's best.
Right, exactly. You have to. You know, so I mean, I would say that, you know, it's safe to say based on demand and all of that. I mean, like hopefully RIPperoni's planning on coming back to BattleBots.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to come back to BattleBots. It's just a question of, you know, when and where. We'll do our best to be ready when a season is announced. And if we're given enough time to prepare and get new parts and fix all of the issues we had the first time, then we're definitely in.
Hopefully I don't have to quit my day job to do it this time.
No,
I love it. But yeah, no, there's definitely you know, hopefully a lot of exciting things to come for RIPperoni. You know, is there anything that you're working on right now in the meantime until like you know when something's going to happen?
I think we're all still catching up on our lives from before filming. I still have a motorcycle that needs to be rebuilt. I think so does Fred.
At least one.
At least one. Yeah, I'm working on the 30-pound RIPperoni. Just had an event last week where it got two trash bagged, I would say, on the scale.
It got sent to Brazil.
Got sent to Brazil. Well, actually, I think it got destroyed by Waddles. I've now lost to Waddles twice, so I have another little rivalry there. But that robot needs to be rebuilt for future events for sure. Yeah.
Do you still, you know, now that you have the you know the larger one built, do you still find that like having the 30-pound version teaches you anything that you can put towards that 250-pound one, or like, you know, gives you any additional inspiration for like still having both?
Oh,
It teaches
absolutely.
us how important the flywheel is.
Yeah. And how the flywheel is, and also just other methods of construction. We learned a lot of lessons from the 30-pounder the first time that we fixed in the 250-pounder. And then it was a little bit frustrating to go back to working on the 30-pounder thinking like, I already fixed this mistake that I made the first time. So now with a rebuild, I will get the chance to do that. But yeah, and like I am a pretty new driver. You know, we're super lucky to have Fred on the team to drive the 250, but you know, I also want to get a little bit better myself so that if something happens, you know, I can be a backup and RIPperoni won't suffer quite that much.
We want to minimalize the suffering for RIPperoni.
Yeah, so I'm really treating it as my platform to get better at driving big vertical spinners.
Oh yeah, and now that I've driven a robot, I can say that practice is key.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
no.
And there's no practice that you can do outside of literally fighting. Best case scenario is like we have a test hoop, so a weapon that doesn't have a tooth on it, so we can put that on and drive around with it and feel the gyroscopic precession, but also not be afraid that it's going to run into something and break something. But of course, for RIPperoni, that also means that his self-righting mechanism doesn't work, because self-righting is hitting the hoop against the ground. So we can kind of do that to try to drive the robot around. But really you need an opponent there, and you need an opponent there that you're not scared to hit, because you need to practice the actual hitting. So we might set something up with Star Child. Maybe we can go to a parking lot and both have turned off weapons and drive at each other and really get the practice in. But even that won't be a true environment like fighting in the box.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I did want to ask about something that I don't think that I did last time, because obviously like Omega Team is really one big team. Like, yes, you have 2 robots, but it's one big team. Did you find that like, really helpful because you have this like larger network of support that you're able to help each other on these robots?
Oh yeah, support, resources, space, people. RIPperoni and Star Child were in slightly different design cycles throughout the season. So there was like build weekends for Star Child, where everybody would go and help build a Star Child, and then the next weekend everybody would come and help build a RIPperoni. And competition, it was the same way. Depending who was fighting, people were floating back and forth, and that was so useful. We also standardized some of our components across robots. So if one robot ran out of spares, we could use the other robot's components, or just in general order things like drive motors in bulk, speed controllers in bulk. It's been a huge help to be partnered with them, and I think that both teams are having a better time because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you couldn't find like, to me, like 2 more unique robots to be on the same team. I mean, they're so different. And obviously you both had different kind of seasons, but I think that they're both amazing designs. And I would love to see both bots come back for the next season and just like crush it.
That's the plan.
And have fun, of course. You have to have fun. Now I want to make sure, because this wasn't something I was doing earlier in the season, but I do this now because I think that it's important. Please shout out to your sponsors, because nobody could do this without them.
Yes. Okay. Well, on the front of our t-shirt, we have Hudson Speedway. That's our title sponsor. They're located in New Hampshire, and they have track days where you can bring your family and watch some races. So definitely check them out. We have NHOU, New Hampshire Oil and Undercoating, makes really great products for the bottom of your car to prevent it from rusting. Then we have 3D Fortify, which is the company that I work for, which makes industrial 3D printers for RF and injection tool molding applications. We have Send Cut Send, like everybody else. Send all your flat parts there. They're fantastic, super fast. We have Somerset Industries, a pizza equipment company that another one of our teammates does contracting for. They make a nice dough press, which we had at a party once. It was really fun. Then we have Monster Bolts for all your bolt needs. They carry really specific types of titanium bolts and different head styles that not all manufacturers have. And Gen Ace batteries, which are great and do not explode.
But we
That's
also have
kind of-
Clifton Steel.
Oh, and Clifton Steel.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. They made our hoops. Yes, Clifton Steel is absolutely fantastic. They carry AR500, and that's what all of our hoops were made out of. And they also were able to cut them for us. Super fast shipping, very friendly, easy to work with.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, the best kind of batteries are the ones that don't explode.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you want to get.
I
No, our
use
Gen
Gen
Ace
Ace.
batteries were the bomb.
Yeah, I use Gen Ace in Lil Rip as well.
They're
we
actually
should
fantastic
just use
batteries.
them all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, and I will throw out, even though that's not like a sponsor per se, but I will throw out a shout out to robotsruinmylife.com, get all of your Team Omega swag there. Like it's awesome. So
Absolutely. All the
I-
proceeds go towards us building cooler robots in the future.
Exactly. So if you want more cool robots from Omega Team and more like, RIPperoni and all of that good stuff, then please buy merch from robotsruinmylife.com. So awesome. Well, I love your bot. I think your team's energy is amazing. Anna, I think Pete Abrams had said you could take his job. So there you go. But yeah.
Maybe someday when I've built as many robots as he has, but I'm not. I think I'm still pretty early career. I need a few more pizzas to my name.
Yes. Well, I definitely want to see all of the robots that you build and conceive of and all of that good stuff. Because they're amazing. So yes, so everybody keep following Team Omega and RIPperoni. And hopefully we'll see RIPperoni on the Sin City Slugfest, maybe in the future. And just keep watching the show, keep supporting combat robotics, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe, everything else. And we will see you next time on the show.
Excellent. Thanks so much for having us. This was a lot of fun.